ending 1 minute at a time.
I was blind, but now I see.
Working jobs we hate, so we buy shit we don't need.
Ideas are brittle.
If you had one shot, everything I'd ever read, heard, seen was now organized and available.
Now you fucking khakis.
Life moves pretty fast.
The Biohacking Secret Show.
Dustin Wolff is the owner of the Novus Center, one of the largest sexual wellness centers in North America, and he's personally trained countless doctors on how to treat their male patients with shockwave therapy for enhanced sexual performance. He has since gone on to co-found Launch Medical and is the co-inventor of the Phoenix, the world's first home-use acoustic wave device that works as effectively as the machines used in wave clinics around the world. He's also an Air Force veteran, a loving father, and is obsessed with the power of good morning routines to optimize health, performance, and longevity. Dustin Wolff, welcome to the Biohacking Secret Show.
Anthony, thank you so much for having me. I'd love to do these shows with guys like you. We have, kind of like mindsets, and I'm super happy to be here and talk about this story. So.
I'm pumped to talk about this as well because, I have part of my journey when I got real sick in 2011 with Lyme disease. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but Oof. I went from being a pretty normal, healthy guy with an above average sex drive, we'll call it, to for a year, I lived like a monk and had zero functionality or life in that area while I was trying to figure out, the downstream domino effect that had kind of destroyed my biology. And I know from just, some of the locker room conversations and honest conversations with friends that this is an issue that more and more guys are experiencing earlier and earlier in life. Maybe you could give us a little bit of background on your story. How did you get into sexual performance enhancement and how does this apply to our listeners?
Yeah. So, I'm a guy and I like to have sex. So no. So as you mentioned on the intro, my partner and I own a wellness clinic focused on, let's say, sexual performance in Southern California. And we started that company about 4.5 years ago. And we were doing wellness IV, vitamin drips and hormone optimization, stuff like that. And then I found out about this, shockwave / acoustic wave therapy. And it seemed, because I started investigating it, when I actually heard it on the radio, and I started investigating what it was, because the clinic that I have is very holistic, right? It's not focused on, we do the opposite of Western medicine. So when I found out that this acoustic wave therapy, shockwave therapy, goes back 20 years, with hundreds of clinical studies backed by real science and real results on it, I was very intrigued. On top of that, to find out that this type of treatment, this type of therapy, which is non-invasive, has no side effects, there's no downtime, and a very high success rate, I was, blown away. So I started doing some more investigating, and before we know it, we started doing this shockwave therapy in my clinic to treat guys that had symptoms of erectile dysfunction. Now, having said that, this type of treatment, this type of therapy isn't just for guys that have ED. This is for, any man over the age of 18. And the reason why I say that is because as we age, microplaque builds up in the blood vessels of the penis. And that's what this type of therapy does. This type of wave clears the microplaque out of the blood vessels, right? So it also damages the tissue, causing microtrauma to foster the process of angiogenesis, which you know about, right? Which is the growth of new tissue and new blood vessels. So without getting too much into the science on it right now, that's how we got into it. And as you can imagine, the clinic's in LA, so there's a concentration of wealth there. I mean, I had a line out the door of guys that were just, lining up because, again, the success rate is super high. There's no downtime and there's no side effects. And then pretty soon I started having doctors call me from all over the country wanting to come in and train their staff. And it just blew up. And, most of the listeners right now, they're going to listen to this, have probably never even heard of shockwave or acoustic wave therapy. But I mean, like I said, there are hundreds of clinical studies backing the efficacy and the science of this. And there's, a half a dozen different applications, which we can also talk about. But that's, how we got into it. And we quickly grew into the largest sexual wellness clinic in the United States. And I started having, again, my name is Dustin Wolff. I have no formal medical background. So I want to put that disclaimer out there right up front. But I've done so much of this And our clinic has treated thousands of guys that I'm what's considered a shockwave expert now. So I have these urologists that have been in the business for 30 years calling me going, oh my God, I want to do what you do. Will you teach me? So it's pretty cool. And here we are, 4.5, almost 5 years later. And the clinic is, it's even in, this pandemic, the clinic is still rocking because guess what? Guys will always want to have sex. It's just in our DNA, so, we can get into, some other things on that too, but the clinic we do P shots, which we can talk about platelet-rich plasma, which helps optimize and enhance the results of this type of therapy. But this stuff is the real deal, and no one's ever heard of it here. Relatively speaking, there are probably 500 clinics or less in the U.S. doing this type of therapy right now. But it also has some challenges. I mean, it's very effective and there's no side effects, but it's also very costly for the average guy. So, I mean, you're looking at the average protocol for a guy. He has to come into the clinic, get naked, have a nurse handle his junk, for 15 or 20 minutes and apply this, this device and these acoustic waves, right over the tissue of the shaft. And it's embarrassing. It's $3,000 for, 6 treatments, and some guys need 12 or more. So you're looking at, I have some guys that come in and they'll spend 10 grand, right? But that's like it's for rich guys, it's the average guy can't afford that. So every guy that calls the clinic, maybe one guy can afford it and will come in and isn't, ashamed or embarrassed. But we get a lot of biohackers too. We get a lot of performance guys. We get a lot of guys in their 20s. I mean, I have some celebrities that would just blow you away if you knew. I obviously can't, disclose their names due to HIPAA laws, but these young guys, these DJs, they're 25 years old. These guys are making $50 million a year. They're coming in, they're like, dude, I'm with a different girl every night. I just want to make sure that I stay in tip-top shape. And that's what this does. So it's not just erectile dysfunction, it's overall sexual performance in general.
Yeah. And before we share some stories, well, I've got a couple queued up because I'm big in testing things, especially if there's no downside, and shockwave therapy is no exception. Can you explain a little bit for the listeners who aren't familiar with shockwave therapy? Like when someone's like, what does that mean? What is that? What's your response?
Yeah. So shockwave is it's a scary term. It's like, oh my God, you're going to shock me. No, it's, I think it's kind of a goofy term, but it's nothing that we can change now. So the technical term is LISWT. It's low intensity shockwave therapy, right? So low intensity, extracorporeal shockwave therapy. And if you look that up, you can go on PubMed.gov and there's just, again, hundreds of clinical studies going back 20 or 30 years. And all it is, it's a sound wave. That's it, coming out of a device that goes over the top of the tissue. And I'll talk about some applications in a minute. All it is a sound wave. It's non-invasive. It looks like a pistol, and it goes over the top of the tissue, right, and penetrates the tissue to repair the soft tissue. So what happened was, listen, it's that soft tissue repair all over the body. I mean, it's not going to heal anything on bone. It's not going to grow new ligaments. But what it will do is it damages the tissue, causing micro trauma. It's like going to the gym, right? When you go to the gym, you're resistance training, you're weight training, you're causing this micro trauma to the tissue. And guess what happens? The brain's like, you get that pump at the gym, right? What's happening is if you get down and do 100 push-ups, your brain's going to go, holy cow, there's micro trauma, in the chest and in the shoulders and the triceps. That's where that swell comes from, that swell, right? Because your brain starts sending blood flow to that area to repair that tissue. So that's exactly what shockwave therapy does, also known as acoustic wave therapy, is when you apply this on the tissue anywhere on the body, the brain is going to send blood flow to that area full of rich fibroblasts, full of stem cells, full of all of these, these healing properties to start going in there and healing that tissue. Okay. So that's what shockwave therapy is. And there are a bunch of different applications. It's used for plantar fasciitis, right? It's used on, we do it for guys all over and gals all over the body, lower back, hip, muscle tears. We had a CrossFitter come in a couple of years ago. He tore his bicep, right? And we did like 10 or 12 treatments on him. And 3 weeks later, he was back doing pull-ups. So it is extremely effective. There's literally no side effects, right? Mm-hmm. And you don't need drugs or crazy injections or surgery. So we're actually starting to see a lot of doctors use, these wave machines in their clinics all over the country, not just for sexual performance. So again, it's not an electrical shock. It is a wave device that emits a shock wave, a sonic wave, right? Penetrating the tissue to grow new blood vessels. And in the application on the penis is to clear the microplaque out, right? And let me just dig a little deeper into that. So when you're talking about sexual performance, I take care of myself. You take care of yourself. A lot of guys take care of themselves. And most guys don't take care of themselves. But what I'll tell you about all of us, right, is from the day we're born, microplaque starts building up in the blood vessels all over the body. Okay. Some guys can slow that, process down by taking care of themselves, eating well, getting cardio, eating the right foods. But eventually that microplaque is going to build up in the smallest blood vessels in the body and start causing issues. Okay. The two areas that have the smallest blood vessels in the body are the penis and the eyes. Now, this is why our vision starts to go, right? Because the blood vessels weaken behind the eyes, right? So you're not getting as much blood flow. And I don't know if you know, I mean, you're a biohacker, you probably know this. I just read this the other day. Red light therapy, guys are now staring into red light therapy for like 3 minutes a day that know about this, and their vision's getting better. Yes. See?
I just held up for the folks listening via audio. I just held up a red light therapy device that has red and infrared made by EMR Tech called the Firewave. I use it for ambient lighting, like while I'm working, but also to stimulate regeneration of the retina. Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Great. The book, Red Light Therapy. Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So I can't wait. I'm going to order some big panels here in a little while, but and start really getting into this. But again, the eyes have the smallest blood vessels and the penis have the smallest blood vessels. So those are the two first to go in the human body, in the human male body. All right. So no matter how well you take care of yourself, no matter how well you eat or exercise, it's coming for all of us. Right. So it's kind of like a dimmer switch, right? Like I'm 45 years old. I feel like I perform pretty well in the bedroom and I do a lot of wave therapy, but I'm not 18 anymore either, So, and I understand that. So wave therapy can clear this microplaque out of the blood vessels safely and effectively with no downtime and no side effects. Here's how I kind of, I need someone to explain it to me like I'm an 8-year-old, right? So I had this doctor one time, he goes, listen, think about this. It's like going to the dentist. No matter how well you brush your teeth and you floss and you mouthwash and you eat well, twice a year, you still need to go to the dentist so that dental tech or that dentist can scrape the plaque off the back of your teeth, right? There's nothing you can do about that. That's the same plaque that's floating around in your body and clogging up those blood vessels, which is why guys have to take, those vasodilator pills like, sildenafil, tadalafil, Viagra, Cialis, all that stuff. And all that does, as we all know, it's just masking the symptoms. It dilates the blood vessel to allow the blood to go through, causing an erection. But as soon as those drugs leave the body, guess what? Boop. So, and this actually gets to the root of the problem, right? And clears that plaque out. Hope that wasn't too much.
Perfect. No, it's perfect. So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is a lot of the conventional prescription-based treatments like Cialis and Viagra, they work over the short term, but they don't actually get to the root cause of the issue, which you're saying is this accumulation of microplaque in the blood vessels and capillaries, the highways that are responsible for supplying the penis with blood.
Yeah, they're just Band-Aids. And we all know it. I've recreationally messed around with them in the past, but we all know, everybody knows, that it's just a Band-Aid. It's actually not getting to the root of the issue, which is what this wave therapy does.
Yeah, I was surprised a few years ago back when I was teaching yoga classes and doing personal training, how many clients, we talk pretty openly about things, and especially me being willing to go first about my year living as a monk, not by choice, just by necessity. How many guys have these things where, if they're going on a date or something like that, they want to make sure their first sexual experience goes well, and they're taking these just as like, I don't want an embarrassing first experience that could compromise an opportunity to have a relationship or a marriage with a woman that I really care about.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the reason why they do that is because, again, it's built into our DNA. If we can't perform to the level that we want to perform and we want to please our partner, it's extremely psychologically damaging. And I'll tell you right now, I've had performance anxiety in the past, and it is awful. Too. And when it happens, you're like, oh, dude, did that really just happen? Like, did I really just blow it? And there's a whole nother aspect which I want to throw out there. And I've had performance anxiety, I meditated and I eventually got over it. But guess what happens to the partner? Male, female, I don't care who you're into. They immediately, and you can't fault them for this, they immediately internalize that and they think he's not attracted to me, or if it's a wife, he doesn't love me, he's cheating on me, he's thinking about someone else. And you can't blame them, they're like, why he's not attracted to me? Like he can't perform, like that means he doesn't want to be with me. And most of the time, that's not the case. So for any of you partners out there, and I learned this again through 5 years of treating thousands of guys in my clinic, the men would bring their partners in, again, whether it was a guy, gal, I don't care what you're into, and their partners would look at me and they're like, what's wrong with him? Is he not attracted to me? He doesn't love me. And I go, you need to stop. I go, he brought you here because he wants help and you're making it worse. So I need you to support him so he can get through this, because yes, we're going to clear the plaque out of the blood vessels. We're going to grow new tissue and go down this journey and this path to healing. But you're adding a whole nother, anxiety level to this that is just going to sabotage what you're about to do. So I need you to be cool. I need you to be supportive. If it happens again, just be like, it's not a big deal. We'll get through this. So that's, a whole nother, psychological aspect to this that I just wanted to throw out there, because, man, it's a big deal. Guys, when we can't perform, it is devastating to us. It carries over to other parts of our lives, relationship, work. You have no self-confidence, and we would pretty much do anything to have a good quality erection and perform.
Yeah, that's a couple great points there. And I relate, because especially like when, I'm doing 90 days completely sober, no alcohol, but even in college, when I was really young and in my, quote unquote sexual prime, there were times where I would have, a couple drinks too many, and then that would compromise my performance. And that alone can create this loop where then it's not usually that the woman is like, oh, you chump, you can't even get it up. But it's more like what you said, where it's, oh, what is it about me that this man that I care about does not find attractive enough in order to get aroused and excited in order to perform? It's not like they're
very real.
Yeah, very, very real.
I see it every day. I see it every day in my clinic. And it is, I train my staff to talk to the partner and be cool, be nice, but explain what's going on in the guy's head too. Like it's devastating in his brain too. So, they'll internalize it though. It's not, you can't blame them for that, So
yeah, especially in a world where, we live in many ways in like a fast food, instant gratification society. Everyone's busy, everyone's pressed for time. And, if you were to go back decades or even hundreds of years, the time carved out for a sexual experience was longer. And that
sometimes
would give us
days, man.
Sometimes days, right?
Or weeks. Cultures had festivals, you know what I mean? It was a big, big deal. It wasn't a 5-minute hit it and quit it, pop and go, No, you're right. It was a very intimate, special experience.
Yeah. And it's not uncommon that one of these experiences, maybe just one of these nights where you have a little bit too much to drink, it's a first date, you're a little bit nervous, you're trying to calm your nerves. And then this unfolds, and then it's not physiological anymore. It opens up this psychological loop where it's like, oh, I hope that doesn't happen again. Until recently, our options were either, meditate, hope that takes care of the issue, or you go to some of these pharmaceutical options, which we've mentioned. And now shockwave therapy has come into the picture. I first heard about it a few years ago from a friend of mine who I won't name, but we were in a mastermind group together, and he said to me, have you heard about this shockwave therapy? And I hadn't. And he said, you have to look into it. He goes, I have not had any, what you would consider to be a sexual dysfunction or erectile dysfunction, but I was interested in doing it. He did 6 treatments for, I think it was the 3K that you mentioned. And he said, I'm more he goes, I feel like it brought me back to my teenage years, 18. He's like, I'm more sensitive. My orgasms are more enjoyable. And of course, the overall, he said, I'm harder. The overall experience is better. And that was what what got me to kind of start digging into it. And I had done a lot of different things. I was using, my nutrition was dialed in. I was managing my stress. I was doing both cardio and weight training. But I'm always looking for an edge or anything that could elevate my life experience and the life experiences of the people that I care about. And when I started digging into it, there really is, I haven't seen anything about the downsides of this treatment. Have you come across anything showing downsides?
No, and I get asked this all the time. And again, just disclaimer, I have no formal medical training, but what I'll tell you is that, I get once in a while, I get asked, are there any contraindications? Right. And I will just tell you this right now. And it's pretty rare. It's very rare. If a guy has had a serious history of blood clotting, that might cause a complication. And I'll tell you why. Is because this tends to thin out the blood, so it might cause issues. So if you have a history of blood clots, you should always check with your medical professional before you do wave therapy. But other than that, zero, none. Yeah, none.
It's very exciting. And most of our listeners are familiar with hormesis, this concept of you stress the body, which is what's going on when we exercise, and then the body adapts and comes back stronger. I grew up playing soccer. Our at the University of Illinois, our club soccer team won the national championship my senior year. And I had a big issue with my knee my sophomore year. And it was just incredibly painful to the point where even stepping up onto like a curb from the street was causing immense pain. So I went in for surgery with one of the top knee surgeons in Chicago. And going into it, I said, what's going to be happening here, while I'm under the knife? And he was like, basically, we're just going to cause a trauma to the ligament that needs to heal. I'm going to basically take a scalpel and kind of damage it so that we initiate your body's healing response. The joints, ligaments, connective tissue come back stronger, and you should be good to go. And it worked fantastic. And it seems like there's a lot of parallels here with this same hormetic stress that we experience through exercise, through fasting, through cold therapy. It's like one step back for two steps forward. Would you say that that's an accurate assessment of what's going on?
100%. Yeah. And my partner, John, hates when I say this. I tell him, I'm like, this is, I tell guys, all the time in the clinic too, I'm like, this is like taking your penis to the gym, right? It's like bench press for your penis. What it does is in a healthy therapeutic way, it causes stress to the tissue to foster the process of angiogenesis, which is the regrowth of new tissue, which is what you're explaining with the scalpel. Your body's really smart, man. Your body's so amazing. The human body is the most, incredible, thing on this planet. I mean, we produce babies, you know what I mean? Machines can't do that. And it's like, if you subject yourself to the right environment and foster, these correct things, your body will heal itself, So, and there's all kinds of other things we could go into, people curing themselves, of cancer, when the drugs and the doctors could, just by changing their mindset or eating a certain type of food. Right. So this is a very, holistic way of boosting your sexual performance, with no downtime and no side effects. And it's been around for 20 years, guys. And you're just now hearing about this. I was blown away 5 years ago, and I'll tell you right now, I think, my prediction is in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see these wave devices. They're really expensive. They're 40 or 50 grand in thousands, if not tens of thousands of medical clinics all over North America.
I agree. And to kind of continue that story, so I had started digging into it after my friend brought it to my attention. And then coincidentally, one of the companies that's pretty well known that does this treatment reached out. They wanted to discuss sponsoring this podcast, and they invited me in for a treatment. And so I agreed to come in. I said, hey, I'm not currently experiencing any issues. I have in the past, but am I going to put myself at risk coming in and doing a treatment if I don't have any problems? And they said, absolutely not. It's just going to enhance everything. So I went into their office, and there was like a beautiful woman at the front desk, and I'm already like, great, So I'm like,
and they know why you're there. They know why you're there to go get
Of
your penis
course.
zapped. Yeah.
Of course. So I'm like, I'm here for a meeting. She's like, oh, are you getting treatment today? I'm like, yes, I'm also getting a treatment. So they take me into a room, and I kind of laid down on a medical table, and then in walked a gentleman. And a guy, and he was like, okay, so here's the way this is going to work. We're going to apply like a numbing agent, like a lidocaine or something along those lines. And he's like, apply this to yourself, and then I'll be in about 15 minutes to give you the treatment. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, so I can handle the application of the numbing agent, but does this mean this guy's going to now be kind of handling,
absolutely,
handling physically handling my stuff, and he was, and it was a little bit awkward at first, and then I got over it and actually went live on Instagram and kind of shared what was going on. But having another man handle that, I'm not thrilled about the idea. I know it's medical, it's not the end of the world, but I'm still, I'd prefer that not be the case. And it basically, I'm 38 now. I did this about a year and a half ago, and it took me, I from one treatment felt like I was in my teens again. Yep. And it was like, if the wind changed direction, I was getting excited. So it made me realize that there's a whole nother level that I'd almost forgotten about in the decades that had passed.
Exactly. Because it's like that, like I said, it's like that dimmer, it's slowly. You're like, things are still good. Well, they are like they were when you were 20, but keep going. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And so performance, sensation, everything was elevated just from that one treatment. Yet I wasn't too keen to continue booking and going in for some of the reasons mentioned. So when I saw that you guys had come out with this at-home device, I was really excited, and we're going to dig into that. But just for the listeners who, I want guys to be aware of some of the things that they may be doing right now that could be making their performance worse. So some of the things that if they're doing this, you kind of want to stop or change it. And then part two to that question is, what are some of the things that they may not be doing that they should be doing that can enhance sexual performance, where it's like, this is a good foundation for anyone. And then when you add in, your Phoenix device that you guys have created for at-home use, it's going to be like throwing gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, I mean, the first and foremost, what I'll tell you guys, and if your audience that listens to you, they respect your opinion and listen and listen for a reason. So this is going to sound, repetitive, but guys, first of all, your diet, right? What are you putting in your body, right? You make sure. I mean, you shouldn't be drinking soda. You shouldn't be eating McDonald's. You shouldn't be doing this. Diet and exercise is always what anyone's going to say first. Big surprise, right? Mm-hmm. Make sure you're getting enough cardio in. I do resistance training, weight training. I'll do CrossFit once a week, just to kind of, go work out with some other people, hike. I'm very active, right? So, and it works well, right? And we all know this. Diet, exercise, what type of supplements are you putting in your body, right? Nitric oxide boosters, I always recommend, supplementation is key. Most people don't realize this, but I mean, let's not, I'm just going to throw this out there, the obvious shit, right? Like, don't drink too much, everything in moderation, right? Like, we all know this, okay?
Also, not over exercising. I think that was one of the factors.
Because you stress your body too much. Well, I was going to get into that in a second too and talk about sleep. But most people don't realize this, but and you might have heard this through the whole COVID pandemic, which what they were finding is most of the people that were dying were very low in vitamin D, right? So I want to talk about vitamin D for a second. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, so I get plenty of vitamin D, but I still take a vitamin D supplement, and I'll tell you why. Vitamin D is the transporter that takes your testosterone molecule and delivers it to the receptor, right? So if you're low in vitamin D, your body's not absorbing the testosterone molecule fully into those receptors, okay? So look into a good vitamin D supplement. I take one from Metagenics. I think it's a 10,000 IU plus vitamin K. But I take a vitamin D supplement every day, right? It's really important. And I try to get, plenty of sunshine safely. But the last thing I'll say, and there's a million different things we talked about with this, is your sleep, right? And it's interesting because, when we're teenagers, we sleep like babies, right? We could sleep 12, 14 hours a day. And I remember my dad like kicking my door open at like 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. He's like, get out and mow the lawn and pick up the dog shit, and I was just like, out of it. And a lot of people think, oh, well, teenagers are lazy. Well, if they're raised right, they're not lazy, but because they sleep so much. Do you know why they sleep so much? Their bodies are producing a massive amount of growth hormone, right? Growth hormone makes you tired. You sleep and you have those crazy, crazy, lucid, vivid dreams that are very real, right? As we age, our bodies still produce a lot of growth hormone, but what happens is our pulse, every human body pulses 9 times a day. And this pulse window shortens. So what's happening is, as we age, these pulse windows shorten, allowing less and less absorption of your body's growth hormone. And the reason why I bring that up, and I'll tie it back into sleep, is as we start to age, we start not sleeping as well, right? I don't sleep like a teenager. I wish I did. I love to sleep, right? And then you see these people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, they're sleeping like 4 hours a night, right? It's like, how can you function on that, right? And they go to bed at like, 6, my mom goes to bed at like 8 o'clock at night. She's up at 3 in the morning. And I'm like, God, Mom. She's like, I can't sleep. So I will tell you right now, optimizing your sleep, and I'm sure you've talked about this on your show, is a very, very, very big deal and a very big part of not only your cognitive function, but your sexual function too. And I'll wrap it up right now. Your body, when you're sleeping, especially around that like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning time, is that's when it releases all of its hormones, right? That's when that's why, and I'll tie this into, our ancestors, is if they weren't up running, with, an axe in their hand, hunting food for their family right at dawn, right at 5 o'clock, they starved to death. And so did their families. And the reason why the human body does that, it releases all this testosterone first thing in the morning. Where do you think morning wood comes from? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, every morning, like around 3 or 4 in the morning, your body's going, and it's releasing as much testosterone as it possibly can, because it's getting you ready to go hunt and kill, right? So that's why I say your sleep is so, so, so damn important. I take a melatonin at night. I don't overdo it. I hate drugs like Ambien and stuff like that. But like I take a melatonin at night. And I also take glutathione, which is amazing. It's the body's master antioxidant. It's just incredible stuff. So look into glutathione. But those are things I would say that, you can, to lead up to, or to perform, the best you possibly can in the bedroom, is just some of the obvious stuff, but also supplementation and sleep.
This episode of the Biohacking Secrets Show is brought to you by Veritas Farms and their full line of CBD products, CBD standing for cannabidiol. Now, we are real excited about this partnership because Veritas means truth in Latin, and we are big believers in bringing you guys the truth, not just through this podcast, but by making sure that any products that we share or that we bring on as sponsors are products that we personally use, believe in, and endorse ourselves. And that is the case with Veritas Farms and their full line of CBD products. The reason that they're so great, they are full spectrum hemp products, meaning that they have all of the beneficial phytonutrients that you get in a quality CBD product. 99% of the CBD products on the market are CBD isolate, and they're just being resold, meaning they're coming from a few small manufacturers. They've only got one tiny part of all of the important phytonutrients that you need to get the benefits you want from a CBD product, and they're just a bunch of different companies reselling them. Veritas Farms is vertically integrated, meaning they own the farm. They ensure that there are no pesticides being added. It's organic, and then they control the entire process from harvesting to extraction until that product ends up at your door. That's what I love it. It's kind of like farm to table, but for CBD. And the benefits that I've noticed, my sleep is better. I feel like I get a deeper, more restful night's sleep. I'm less stressed. I never have periods of anxiety. I feel calm and focused throughout the day. And it even decreases inflammation when I have flights or other things where inflammation is an inevitable part of life. You take a little extra CBD and it can be very helpful for stress, anxiety, sleep, and that inflammation. So if you guys want to check it out, we've arranged a 15% discount for you guys. To get that, you can go to theveritasfarms.com/biohacks. I'll spell it out. THEVERITASFARMS.com/BIOHACKS to save 15%. Check out the Veritas Farms CBD. You guys are going to absolutely love it. there's a good amount of research showing that arginine, if it's a guy that's not dealing with like a low level viral issue, if you've got viral stuff going on like Epstein-Barr, arginine can cause joint pain. But there's another precursor to nitric oxide called L-citrulline, which is an amino acid that boosts nitric oxide levels. And there's research showing that like citrulline or arginine plus pycnogenol, which is like a French maritime pine bark extract, can have an effect very comparable to Cialis or Viagra, but without some of the side effects or the high cost of those pharmaceuticals. We talked about sleep. I've noticed when I take melatonin before going to bed, the prevalence of morning wood is much, much higher. So guys, if you're listening, or women, if your men are not experiencing morning wood regularly, if not every morning, close to, that could be a sign that they're not going deep enough with their sleep, getting enough REM and deep sleep. What's not talked about a lot is we've got such epidemic use of Adderall, Ritalin, Vyvanse, some of these stimulants, and these can have a vasoconstricting effect where the penis doesn't function as well. So that's a little bit. It requires a little bit more unwinding to get to the root cause of why the fatigue is there and why these stimulants are necessary. But if you are taking those, it may not be supporting optimal sexual performance. You mentioned sunlight and vitamin D, getting a lot of natural sunlight, especially if you can expose these parts of your body, the effects are even more pronounced. You talked about taking the vitamin D with vitamin K. I think that can be really helpful, especially depending on where guys are at in the world and how much natural sunlight they're able to get. Cardiovascular exercise, 90 to 180 minutes of steady state cardio. And then having some weight training in there, just being careful, as we discussed, not to overtrain. And meditation for managing stress, or breath work, and then living closer to nature. Is there anything before we kind of get into the role that the Phoenix plays in sexual performance that you think should be in that list of things to start or stop?
No, those are all healthy things you should be doing anyway, regardless, I think, just in my opinion. So I agree with every single one of those. And the only thing I don't do enough of is meditation. It's really hard for me to quiet my mind, and a lot of people do it first thing in the morning. That's when my mind's racing, but some people do it at night and helps them fall asleep. So I got to do a better job at that. And I do the infrared sauna and, for detoxification and sweat things out.
I just did that right before our podcast.
That's what you're saying. I got one upstairs, and there's a lot of people that believe in cold plunge therapy, they get in these ice baths, which is so painful. I've done it before. Those are all things that, can also enhance your hormones and raise your natural T levels. So those are all very important things, but, acoustic wave therapy and the Phoenix is something that guys can do above and beyond that, and ties back into my clinic in Southern California. And, if you want, I can kind of jump into how, and why we created and invented this device. And, one of them you touched on earlier was like, oh, I got to go to a clinic and take my pants off and have possibly a man or even a pretty nurse like handle my junk how many times? So, I'll kind of just jump right in here. So please. We invented this home use acoustic wave device called the Phoenix. And the reason why we did that is this. There's three distinct reasons. So after I opened our clinic in California, Novus, and we started having all the success, I realized, like I said, for every 100 people that called the clinic, only one guy could afford to come in. And even if he could afford it, he wasn't too embarrassed to come in, right? Or if he lived too far, he just couldn't get there. It wasn't realistic, right? So I got so tired. I'm like, how? It's such a simple procedure. You've had it done. It's so easy to do if someone shows you how to do it. I'm like, there's got to be a better solution to get this, the secret out into the world. So number one, why we invented it is the cost. Go into a clinic like mine, right, or one of these other clinics around the country, you're going to spend easily $3,000 to $6,000. That, if we're just a finite series of treatments, 6 to 12 treatments, that's all you get, right? That alone eliminates 98% of the population. Done. End of discussion. I can't afford that, That's what they make a month, you know, if they're lucky. So, and most people live paycheck to paycheck, unfortunately. So can't afford it. So that's one reason why we invented this, is to drastically reduce the cost to a fraction. Number two, the shame and embarrassment factor. Again, I've had it done. You've had it done. It's not very comfortable to go in there and pull your pants down and have these people, strangers handle your junk. I don't care what kind of weird fantasy you have. When you're actually doing it, it's quite uncomfortable, right? And then three, the proximity to a clinic like mine. I believe that this stuff will be widely available, in clinics around the country in the next 10 years. But right now, that's not the case, right? So even if a guy has the money, he's not too ashamed to come in, right? What if he doesn't live within a reasonable driving distance to come in 6 to 12 times over the next 3 to 6 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, you're 3 hours away. It doesn't make sense for me to take time off of work and drive 3 hours, and then come back. So that's how the Phoenix was born. And I'll tell you the origin story of it real quick was about 2.5 years ago, a guy walks in. I've had this idea for years, right? I'm sure I'm not the only one, but this guy walked into my clinic by the name of John Hoffman. And we do peptides at the clinic, and he was having a shoulder issue. So he's asking about peptides and very inquisitive. He started asking about what else we do. And I said, well, we do this wave therapy. It's really popular, but it's only for rich guys. And so I explained that, the challenges with it. And he's like, I said, if somebody could invent a device that guys could use in the privacy of their own home and make it affordable, I said, it would completely disrupt this industry, right? Including the pharmaceutical industry. And if you can make it affordable to where most guys, if not every guy, could buy it, it would be a huge, disruptive, game-changing technology. And he goes, I can do that. And I go, yeah, okay, buddy. I'm not kidding you. 3 weeks later, this guy walks into my office with this, what we now call Frankenstein, this crazy-looking prototype. It was huge, and it was all metal, and it had these wires and springs and, just motors. And he puts it down on my desk, and says, boom. And he plugs it in. He goes, don't pay attention to how it looks. This is called a prototype. Plugs it into the wall, and I put my hand over the tip of it, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this feels almost identical to the, these very expensive, Swiss, made machines that cost $50,000. I said, can you build these for a reasonable price? And he said, yeah. And I said, we have to do this. So that was 2.5 years ago. Now, what's happened since then is we've done dozens of clinical trials in my clinic, right? Because you can imagine, I had a list of thousands of guys that signed up to be volunteers, right? Because they just couldn't afford it. So I put one email out, and I sent it to too many people because I had everybody like banging my door down, wanting to come in and test this home use device, right? So that's how we not only validated, because we tracked their erectile firmness. It's called a shim score, but erectile, hardness over the course of 6 to 12 weeks. But we also calibrated the Phoenix to put out the exact same energy signature as these very expensive medical grade devices, found all over the world. So it is the real deal. It is changing the game. And, here we are having, shipping thousands of these all over the world. And it's changing lives, man. It's affordable. It removes the shame and embarrassment factor. Guys can use this in the privacy of their own home without taking time off of work, right? They don't have to have a pretty nurse handle their junk on the table, right? And they can do it whenever they want.
Yeah,
right?
or a guy. It was a pretty, for me, it was a pretty receptionist, and then a guy that was handling the junk.
Or a guy, so we, here we are 2.5 years later, 27 prototypes, and a lot, pretty much my life savings and John's life savings, into this incredible disruptive, product. And man, I'm telling you, I have urologists blowing my phone up. They're doctors from all over the country, are begging to get these into their clinics so that they can offer an affordable solution to their patients. Right. So, it's really changed the industry, and we have a long way to go because no one relatively knows about it yet. But, we're trying to get the word out there, and we have some big shows that we're going on in Q1, Dr. Oz and the doctors, and we're talking to, just a bunch of, well-known influencers, and it is really a game changer.
I'm really excited about the technology because I have two experiences. I've only done 2 treatments in my life so far. So I did the one that I've already described, and then the second one was with the Phoenix, and it was at home. So I wasn't driving 35 minutes each way, spending over an hour in the car.
Right.
I did it actually during, I was doing a coffee enema treatment for like liver health and detoxification. And while I was doing the coffee enema, in 10 minutes, I self-applied the treatment using the Phoenix, and it felt similar, same numbing agent, going around the shaft at different points that like the device actually tells you where to go. And I mean, anyone, a caveman could do it.
Right.
And a much more aligned experience, at least for me. Some guys may prefer to go in and have somebody else handle it. I don't. For the folks that want to learn more about this, you can go to getmyphoenix.com /biohacks, GETMYPHOENIX.com /biohacks and learn a little bit more about it. What type of investment is necessary for something like this?
Okay, so first let me preface this. Like I said, if you go to a clinic like mine, you're going to pay anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000, and then there's all kinds of other stuff you can do. So I told my partner John, I said we have to make this relatively affordable. Mm-hmm. So it's $750. It's $750, and what we found. Wild. I mean, well, yeah, I mean $750 compared to $6,000, and it's not just capped at 12 treatments, right? So we're still doing life cycle testing. And, the final, generation that we put out of production, we're having a very difficult time trying to break them. And I mean, I have some engineers in Southern California that are hundreds of sessions in on this thing, and they're still performing like they're right out of the box. They're taking them apart. They're looking at the wear and tear, and there's a little wear and tear, but they're super clean, right? And we put some very high quality, materials and parts into these things. And we're having a very difficult time trying to break them. So let's just say you got 100 treatments out of this, right? What's 100 times? Because it breaks down to $500 a session in my clinic and all these other clinics. Mm-hmm. If you got 100 sessions out of the Phoenix, multiply that times $500. What is that? $50,000. Mm-hmm. $50,000 worth of treatments for $750. And I don't want to sit here and sound like a salesman. I don't need to. This thing sells itself. But that's the type of quality product that we put out. Now, also, I'm a big believer in user experience, right? So you're seeing like people do all these unboxing videos, and there's 8-year-olds making millions of dollars, playing with toys and stuff. So I really wanted it to have a good quality feel. So, when you go buy a new iPhone or a Mac or whatever, that you can tell, like when you grab that box and you lift it out and it's just airtight and it's like, boom, and the layout is perfect and there's instructions and, it just feels, it screams like quality. I told my partner, John, I said, it has to do that. So we spent a lot of time on design concepts and materials and, doing the best we could to put out just an awesome product that guys, really do believe in and get, real results.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that you guys have created this disruptive technology, and the fact that you can get 4 of the Phoenixes for the same price or less than it would cost just to get 6 treatments is right. It's bananas. And the fact that it's lasting 100 treatments is wild. What type of results are you hearing from guys, and how long does it take to get, how many treatments does it take to get those results?
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a loaded question, but let me break it down. So one thing I should tell you, is if you are an unhealthy individual and you're overweight, if you're heavily medicated with diabetes medications and you're a smoker and you have high blood pressure, like you got other shit to worry about, right? You're not going to stick around long enough to enjoy your penis. So go clean that up, right? So the average guy, relatively healthy, even might be slightly overweight or whatever, exercises here and there sporadically, we're getting fantastic results. I mean, we're seeing success rates of over 90%, that's better than Viagra. It's insane. So I get text messages.
And getting to the root cause rather than just temporarily treating symptoms.
It's addressing the root cause, right? It's clearing the microplaque out of the blood vessels and opening up that tissue and growing new blood vessels. So we're seeing a very high success rate, over 90%. And I get, we have a Facebook group called Rocket Nation. You guys can go check out. It's just like, it's a anonymous support group, but our confidential support group where guys just change ideas and, talk about their experiences and stuff like that. Kind of like we're doing here, but we're having phenomenal success. I get guys texting me, videos, not of them doing the treatment, but they're, and we put them up on the website. If you guys go to getmyphoenix.com/biohacks and click on testimonials, you'll see all these guys, man. I didn't ask them to do that. It's not a paid endorsement. They're just so blown away that they're sending me these video reviews and testimonials. I'm like, wow. And one thing has been so consistent. Most of them say, they're like, this changed my life, right? This changed my life. And look, man, that feels really good. It's incredible. So, phenomenal success.
Are you seeing wives or girlfriends purchase this for their boyfriends? Yes.
Yeah. In fact, we had a lady send in a video testimonial. I think she's actually up on the website, but it's interesting. I'll go through our customer, because I pay attention to the orders every single day. So I'll just go through the list of all the people, that are buying the device. And guess what? Like every 20 or so, you'll see Mary Johnson, I'm like, that's awesome. So it's really cool. Yeah. In fact, we have a few gals actually in the Facebook group, and they'll reach out to Stephanie, our other partner, and ask, questions. So it's pretty cool. So we're seeing a decent amount of women buy this for their partners.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. And I love to see that level of support. I'm also a big advocate of voting with your dollars. And for men and women that are listening, like if you appreciate this type of innovation, and the work that Dustin has put in to take something that was prohibitively expensive and make it so that it's not only affordable, but something that you can do in the privacy of your own home. Go to getmyphoenix.com/biohacks and check it out. And if you feel inspired, pick one up. Again, this isn't like a sales pitch. It's just a matter of like, if you want more stuff like this in the world, then support the people that are doing it. I'd also like to talk about, I'd done, I was just, as we were discussing, I realized I'd done a shockwave therapy treatment that was not on that part of my body. I was dealing with some hip pain a while back, and the good folks at the U.S. Stem Cell Clinic, I've done stem cells there. I've done PRP, platelet-rich plasma there for some soccer stuff that I had going on, just banged up from men's league, and my knee was hurting me. And they had suggested, they said, we're actually having a lot of success with shockwave therapy on injury sites in helping the body to recover. And I did a 10 or a 20-minute treatment on my hip, and before I was even off the table, my hip was feeling immensely better. Can you talk about some of the other clinical applications that aren't necessarily penis related, and is that something that the Phoenix, the at-home Phoenix model can do? Yeah.
I mean, so applicable, shockwave therapy, acoustic wave therapy, applicable to soft tissue, yes, anywhere on the body. The protocol is specifically designed for the penis is what's in the Phoenix, right? So, however, yes, I'm actually hearing stories and I'm getting emails from guys using it on other parts of their body. Oh, and their girlfriends and wives are doing it too.
On their vajays?
We'll get into that in a minute. Some clinics actually do that. No, but they're using it on other parts of the body. They're using it on, they're using it for plantar fasciitis. They're using it on their shoulder. They're using it on their lower back, their hip. Again, anywhere except bone.
And plantar fasciitis, for the people that aren't familiar, we're talking about pain in the bottom of the foot, like the arch of the foot getting real tight and painful and inflexible, and
nerve damage, lack of blood flow. Yeah, a lot of diabetics get it.
That's huge. One of the guys in our group just said that he had that, and we were talking about using like gua sha, basically like scraping. It's a traditional Chinese medicine technique where you take like a metal scraper and you basically cause that micro trauma, but it's very energy intensive. To have shockwave therapy or acoustic wave therapy as an application there, that's huge. I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah. So a lot of people are using it for plantar fasciitis. I don't have plantar fasciitis, but it loosens up my feet. So I use it on my feet too. So, which is awesome. And getting that blood flow down there just feels good. So,
and a lot of back pain, people don't realize how much back pain can be starting in your feet, where if the soft tissue in your feet is too tight or inflexible,
if it's too tight or inflexible,
that can cause issues further up in the body.
Yep, absolutely will. So yeah, anywhere on the body where, it'll even help with soreness. Again, because it's stimulating, blood flow to that area, causing that micro trauma. It's very therapeutic. So there's so many different applications. And, one, I don't want to put this out there too early, but what I'll say is some clinics that have this very expensive wave devices, they're actually using it to remove cellulite. So there's something for the ladies, and it works if it's done correctly.
Wow.
So without letting the cat out of the bag, we are working on a really, really, really cool home use cellulite removal device. It's the exact same technology.
That's fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about the protocols. So let's say you've got a guy who's in average health. He wants to first start with sexual performance enhancement. What type of protocols would you recommend so that if some of our listeners want to pick up the device and then jump right into the proper protocols, they know what to do?
I have an answer for that. In fact, it's we've already thought about that. So again, just one more time, I just want to say the Phoenix wasn't developed just for guys with erectile dysfunction, right? It was designed for every single man, right? Because again, every single guy can use this, and they should be using this as part of their weekly, therapeutic routine. Guys, it's just like going to the gym. So let's to answer your question about the protocols, there are several different protocols, and if you go to the website, there a little window will pop up, and you can click it. It'll say, "Is wave therapy for me?" And all it is it's a quick 3-minute, 15-question quiz, and you answer the questions. And based on your answers to those questions, we will email you a personalized protocol that's designed for you. Again, based on how you answer the questions. And there's a performance, for the biohacker guys, there's a performance protocol that we will email you. So, but if you are struggling with mild or moderate, ED symptoms, and you answer the questions, again, just be honest. It's confidential. We will email you that protocol so it'll actually break down how many treatments we recommend, when you're recommended to do them. And that's another thing I should say is that guys are so funny. Like a lot of us think that if a little is good, more is much better. Right. So what we did was, my partners and I we thought a lot about this. We're like, if we let these guys do a treatment anytime this thing turns on, they're going to over-treat, right? Because a lot of guys start seeing results, like you said, after just one treatment. Boom. The next morning they wake up, they're like, oh my God, I haven't had morning wood in like 4 years. And all of a sudden, boom. So we're like, this is just like anything else. You don't go into the gym every day and do, bench press, 225-pound bench press, every single day. Again, you have to let your body heal. Remember, we talked about overtraining. So this is what we've done. We've built into the software a 36-hour lockout period, all right, for safety reasons. Because I know you guys out there, what's going to happen is you're going to start using this thing and your penises start getting real hard. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I want to do this thing every day. No. That's not how this works, right? Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. We all know that. So in the software, there's a 36-hour lockout period. Once you do a treatment, it will not turn back on and administer a treatment for 36 hours as a safety feature.
That's smart. I've subscribed to that more is better technique or philosophy in a lot of areas where it has not been the case.
Especially when you're younger too. I'm 45. At my age, I'm like, I need to dial it back a little bit. And, I struggle with that sometimes, especially when I start seeing results. And I'm like, more is not always better. So,
is there an ideal time of day to do the treatment, or does it not really matter?
Doesn't matter. No. And what we recommend is, the proven protocol over the last 20 years is to use a vacuum pump, a penis pump, in conjunction with your treatment sessions. Mm-hmm. So here's what we recommend for guys to get the best results. And we actually include it as a kit. It comes as a kit. The Phoenix comes with the pump, and it comes with some other things as a kit. Yeah. And we tell you guys, if you're going to do a series of whatever, 6 to 12 treatments, we want you to get the best results, to supply the most blood flow to that area, to use the pump twice a day for 10 minutes, right? It doesn't matter, if you do the, Phoenix treatment at night or in the morning, doesn't matter. But as long as you stay disciplined, with the pumping in conjunction with the Phoenix protocols, that's what will get you the optimal results.
Yeah, we had Susan Bratton, who's a sex expert on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's a great episode for the listeners who haven't checked it out. And she was raving about the benefits she's seen with clients using a penis pump. And it was something that I had kind of chuckled at in the past, just because I didn't even realize that it was legit. And she inspired me to pick one up. It works. It helps
open up the blood vessels. It helps clear things out. It helps you. It's like exercise, right? I use it once a week, on like every Sunday. It's just part of my tradition for 10 minutes. So this is kind of like a 1-2 punch where you have the Phoenix addressing the circulation on one level, breaking up the microplaques, and then and that's like kind of like in the functionality department. And then the penis pump, you not only have the functionality benefits that you mentioned, but there's also it's been shown to kind of increase size too, hasn't it? Yeah, again, because what you're doing is you're expanding that tissue and you're dilating those blood vessels. So what's happening is your body, your penis is getting all this rich oxygenated blood full of fibroblasts and growth factors. And when you do it in conjunction, and we don't. So here's what I'll tell you: a lot of guys, that do acoustic wave or shockwave therapy, whether it's with the Phoenix or in my clinic, in conjunction with the pump. They'll call me, they'll text me, they'll email me, like, Dustin, my penis is getting bigger. I'm like, that's awesome. That's cool. But that's not what it's, meant to do. We never, ever lead with that as a benefit ever. But let me explain why. What are you doing? We're growing new tissue. So of course it's going to expand. You know what I mean? And when I, first did it in our clinic, 4 years ago, I was 41 and I'm just going to be honest. Like I wasn't as big. I'm not a big guy, but I wasn't as big as I was when I was 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. Right. Because what happens is as we get older, again, those blood vessels start to collapse. Well, guess what happens to your penis? Whoop. So when I started doing the wave therapy in the clinic 4 years ago, I remember one day getting out of the shower and I'm like, dude, you look like you're 25 again. What's going on? And that's what happens. We don't use that as a sales tool or technique, but yes, it is a very well-known benefit. So you guys can look it up out there on the internet.
Fantastic, guys. Getmyphoenix.com/biohacks. Applications that we've discussed, the unintended application is an increase in size, but it works for erectile dysfunction, plantar fasciitis, soft tissue recovery and regeneration, even cellulite reduction for the women. So if some of the females listening decide they want to pick one of these up for their boyfriend or husband, they could potentially even use it themselves on some. Does it work at like spot treatment for
spot
cellulite?
Treatment? Yeah.
Like if there's cellulite in the legs, you use it exactly where the cellulite is showing up and it can break that down.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. But ladies, be careful because that guy might not want you using his treatment because it's going to lock him out for another 36 hours.
Oh, good point. Good point. Any other applications that we haven't mentioned? It's a pretty good list.
I've had people ask me, they're like, because it increases blood flow, can I use it for hair restoration? I'm like, do not put this on your skull. One guy even asked me if he could put it on his face. And I'm like, do not put this on your face. In fact, when you buy the Phoenix, you have to sign a disclaimer saying that, you've read the consent form,
right? And
you only use it as prescribed. So, I think we covered most of the major ones.
Beautiful. Have you seen, what role does pornography play in all of this? Because,
dude, I'm not gonna lie.
About that for a second.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to watch porn and I watched a lot of it. I mean, I wouldn't say I was a porn addict, but as I got older, I watched it less and less and less. But man, it is a real problem because think about it. And again, I have no medical, formal training and I'm not an expert on dopamine levels and stuff like that. But again, it desensitizes you to what, reality actually is. Right. And I get it. Porn's cool. And these fantasies and stuff like that. But if you watch too much of it, like anything else, man, it will desensitize you. And then you want more and more and more and more. It's like a drug, right? It's like any other drug. It's like
it raises your arousal threshold, which is basically a fancy word for like what is required for you to get stimulated and hard.
Yes.
And then when you have the real life.
Then you have the real life, which is never like porn. Right. And if it is, God bless you. but it's never like porn. It's not like that, right? And this is real. These are two real people. These aren't freaking actors, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. And I totally agree with what you said and how you put it.
Yeah,
Problem.
I had sort of looked at porn back in the day pretty casually, and I believed, as you can read that it might be helpful for the prostate and this and that, and what I started noticing is that when I was watching porn, my erections weren't as strong, my sex drive was lower, my energy was lower to such a degree it was undeniable, and I made a rule where I do not watch porn at all. If I'm going to masturbate, I have to use my imagination. Yeah. And that has not only improved my energy, sexual function, everything. Yeah. But I think that's an important piece of the puzzle that a lot of guys don't talk about.
It's very important. They just get desensitized, and like you said, they need this heightened, level of excitement, or what they deem exciting, to actually get a good erection. And it can be just a rabbit hole, man. And it's, again, though, I mean, there are guys out there that have real porn addictions, just like gambling or drugs. Like it is a real problem. So just ease off of it.
Yeah, for sure. Any other tips that, or pieces of advice that you feel like you want to put out there to our listeners around sexual performance enhancement? Anything that will help take their bedroom performance or just their overall quality of life in this area of sexuality, which is so inextricably tied to to how we feel as men.
Yeah, it is such a huge part of how we carry ourselves and our confidence, and a huge part, and this I explain this to our patients in the clinic, is we basically, we categorize, the quality of your erections and your overall performance into 3 buckets, right? We have the blood flow, right, which the Phoenix addresses, right? Then we have the chemistry, which is your hormones, right? And then we have the mental, silo or category, right? Your emotional state, right? Because if the blood flow and the chemistry is there, but you're not right, emotionally, or if you're depressed, you're not going to have a very good sex life. And I don't care, how many Phoenixes you've done, how high your testosterone is, your mindset is such a big part of it. And I think we can all do a little better to live a healthier life in terms of our minds. And I believe, doing things like, meditation, right? Self-care, things like this to relax. And I struggle with it. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm a very, high energy person, and it's hard for me to relax. And, so that's something I would, add, as we wrap this up, as it's something that's so important. And I have to do a better job of it too, is learning how to relax, right? Learning how to relax, learning how to, be quiet in my own mind, read more books, stay off your phone, don't be on your phone as much, social media.
That's huge. I had that in the list, is like, I've seen Wi-Fi when guys are on their phone way too much. I've seen that have a negative effect on sexual performance and function, just decreasing the blue light and decreasing your exposure to these non-native electromagnetic fields that can cause, they can have a negative impact on blood flow. Period. Right. Whether or not you've got these microplaques built up. Right. Last little thing, just because knowing the nature of the industry, like, there's so many knockoffs. Anytime you create something cool, you have companies in China that knock it off, or they prey on people who are just like, oh, I'm just looking for acoustic wave therapy or shockwave therapy, but they're not paying attention to like power output or some of these metrics that describe the efficacy of the device. The Phoenix is what you've created, and you've made it where you want it to be as close as possible to what guys can do in clinics at home.
Yes.
For if a guy finds himself making this, kind of doing comparisons, what does he need to look for to know if he's getting a good shockwave device?
I'll say this one thing: testimonials. Yeah. Right? And let me peel that layer back, right? I could sit here and tell you all day long, in your audience all day long, this thing is incredible, right? Don't believe me? Go to the website and look at testimonials. And I don't mean written testimonials. We all know those could be fake. If you have a guy send you a video because he's so impressed and you changed his life, willing to go out there on the internet and say, I use this thing on my penis, do you think that guy is fake? No, he's very real. Right? Because he believes in the product so much. So guys, first of all, the Phoenix is covered by domestic and pending international patents, which I'm very proud to say it cost me a lot of money and a lot of time and effort to get, right? Are we going to get knocked off by China? Absolutely. But what I want you to do is I want you to look around, do your research. Don't take my word for it, right? Take Joe Blow's word for it in Kansas, who's using the Phoenix right now and changed his life. Video testimonials, I would tell you right now, go so far. And I actually, as a consumer, right, when I'm looking on websites, I see these, Amazon, I see this, anytime I see a video testimonial from somebody and I know it's not fake, I'm like, and there's dozens of them, that is a reputable company, right? And even if it costs a little more, guess what? It's worth the money.
I agree. Solid advice. Guys, if you want to take the next step, go to getmyphoenix.com/biohacks, getmyphoenix.com/biohacks. We've got a discount set up for you so that you can save a little bit of money on the Phoenix. I love it. I will never be going to another clinic to have this done. I'm only going to be doing it myself. And Dustin, I love the work that you guys are doing. Austin has been fantastic throughout this entire process. He's a great guy. Yeah. Both of you guys. I have a lot of gratitude and appreciation for what you're doing. And I think a lot of guys who may have felt shame or embarrassment or like there weren't options out there for them are going to feel empowered by this conversation in knowing that there are things that they could do. And always handle your lifestyle first. Handle the things that are causing issues for you, and then add in the things that are going to be helpful, like the Phoenix and like some of the other stuff that we've discussed in this episode. Yeah, Dustin, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're busy.
Man, anytime I have an opportunity to do this and talk about, the benefits of something like this, I am always willing, and I really appreciate your time and appreciate your audience, and thank you for having me on.
What's up, guys? Anthony here, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Biohacking Secrets Show. One of my favorite things to do is helping men and women like you feel what it's like with the body you've always wanted and all-day energy that starts the moment you wake up and doesn't quit. Over the past decade, we've created a proprietary health assessment that helps me to identify the unique toxicities and deficiencies that may be holding you back from the life that you deserve. And what we've discovered in doing this with now thousands of CEOs, executives, professional athletes, businessmen, Hollywood celebrities, and entrepreneurs is that there's always room for improvement and optimization. Whether you're already performing at a high level or you have that feeling inside your heart that you're capable of more, the single fastest way to unlock your potential is to upgrade your mind and your body. And there's no program on earth that does that faster or to a greater magnitude than our one-on-one consulting program at www.biohackingsecrets.com/coaching. We start with our proprietary health assessment that screens you for vitamin deficiencies like A, D, magnesium, iron, etc., high cholesterol and heart disease, high blood pressure, digestive disorders, hidden infections like Lyme, Epstein-Barr, parasites, SIBO, Candida, and more that can just drain your energy in the background, especially if you don't know about them. Anxiety, depression, and cognitive disorders, autoimmune disease, adrenal fatigue, thyroid issues, mold toxicity, heavy metals, environmental toxins, and other genetic risk factors like MTHFR, APOE status, your glutathione production, and many more. We even recommend the specific tests that I use with my one-on-one clients if they're relevant for you in figuring out your biological age and identifying those key areas and opportunities that can take your life to the next level. From there, we create a customized game plan along with a personalized supplement protocol to help you optimize your weight and energy at the cellular level. And for our platinum clients, we even include a personalized workshop with me in Delray Beach, Florida. Most of the year, this program's full with a waiting list, but we just had a couple spots open up and I wanted to offer them to the listeners of the Biohacking Secrets Show first. So if you're interested in seeing what it might look like for us to work together, head over to www.biohackingsecrets.com/coaching. That's www.biohackingsecrets.com/COACHING and fill out the short application form. If you're pre-approved, you'll be given the opportunity to book a time to connect with someone on our team and see if it's a fit. Thank you so much for being a part of this community, and I look forward to potentially going on this journey together.